When tennis great Serena Williams reported symptoms of a pulmonary embolism after giving birth, her concerns were dismissed, but her persistence likely saved her life. It really is a powerful example of medical gaslighting, a reality that so many women face. Amy Kurtz is a chronic illness expert and author of the book, But You Look Fine, and she is here to help us all. Aren't you a sight for sore eyes? And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you explain, first of all, so we set the table, what exactly is medical gaslighting?
Medical gaslighting is the experience of knowing that something is wrong or that's going on in your body and having everyone around you say it's either anxiety, stress, or that it's nothing to worry about.
Right, right.
And this could be anyone from physicians or medical experts to family, friends, acquaintances, coworkers. It really goes all across the board. And what is the worst part about it is that you're experiencing something within your body, and the messaging is, you're fine.
You're fine. You're fine. Just drink some water. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Just go to sleep. You'll be okay. You don't have a headache.
Yeah.
Just take
don't
a nap.
have a headache.
Just don't have a headache. You don't have a headache. Just don't have a headache. So what are the signs that you could be experiencing medical gaslighting? Because I know myself I have experienced this, but I also am a caretaker of an 89-year-old mother. And so we take her to 17,000 doctors, and I'm trying to suss out, is it really A? Is it B? Are you not listening to her? So how do we know if we're experiencing this?
That's a great question. I mean, the biggest thing is if you leave feeling dismissed or invalidated, or you feel like you weren't really heard. And a lot of times there can be an after effect to this where you don't even realize it's happening while you're there. But when you leave, you felt like you weren't really heard.
Yeah.
And like I said, this could be at the office or it could be with anyone else in your life.
Sure.
194 million Americans have at least one invisible chronic health condition, which is 76% of the population.
Wow.
And this kind of gaslighting is what leads me to, I have termed something called medical trauma brain in my new book, But You Look Fine.
Yeah.
And part of this invalidation and this dismissal and this questioning makes you start to question yourself.
Right.
And it makes you start to think, well, are my instincts right if everyone around me isn't validating them?
Right. It's like being in a relationship, being in a toxic relationship, and you're like, wait, am I crazy or are you crazy?
Yeah, it starts to become that way for sure.
This hits close to home because you have experienced this firsthand, which I'm assuming is what prompted you to write the book. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, I have seen 36 doctors, and I know it's shocking.
Wow.
But I actually don't think it's that shocking for patients with complex, invisible conditions because we are in a black and white system, and a lot of patients with invisible illness it's very complex, and we get stuck in what I call the gray zone.
Right.
And then what happened to me after this experience, when I finally got diagnosed after 36 tries,
Oh my goodness.
I started to feel so much better because I had the right diagnosis, which was Lyme disease. But I started to feel bad in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And part of the invalidation and the dismissal added to that. But I was having an emotional, neurological effect to having been sick. And that's what I call MTB, or this experience of what I call the Shadowlands.
Right. The Shadowlands, which is?
It's like I was out to dinner with my friends and I was better, and society has this expectation that you're either sick or you're well, and that there's nothing in between.
Right.
But I'm sure you know this in your own life. If somebody has suffered, it's impossible to move on as if nothing has happened to you.
Right.
It's literally impossible, and that binary is a mistake because it forces people into further isolation.
Right.
I really feel that there's a loneliness epidemic in our country.
Of course, yeah.
And part of what we're talking about today and the experience of living with a chronic or an acute health condition, I can't think of anything lonelier.
Right. So how can we, first of all, I'm sorry that you had to experience all of this, and especially Lyme, which affects the brain, and then is my brain working? But let's bring it back to the viewer. How can viewers at home advocate for themselves? This sounds kind of tongue-in-cheek, but you know, if I go to the bank and I don't like the answer, I say, I want to speak to the manager. If I'm in the doctor's office, who's the boss of the doctor? You know, like if I don't trust what you're saying, or if that's great, thank you for that answer, but there's got to be a better one. Who do I who do I go to? So how do we advocate for ourselves?
The answer is that you're the boss of yourself.
Okay.
And so just because somebody is said to be the best specialist doesn't mean they're the best specialist for you. And you and I might have very different needs in what we need from a doctor, but I really urge people who are going through health challenges to get very clear with themselves about what it is that they need from a doctor they're seeing, because at the end of the day, nobody cares more about them getting better than they do.
That's right.
And nobody's going to fight harder for answers.
Right.
And just because you see one person, you should always get a second opinion. You
100%.
should always come prepared. I tell people to come with their medical records, with a really in-depth summary from the worst symptom to the least, and questions. Have you seen people like me before? Right. Have you had success with this? Are there lifestyle factors? And my favorite question is, what would you tell your family members?
I always do that. Would you treat your mother this way?
Yeah.
Is how I always end a doctor's visit with my mother. Thank you so much.
Thank
this has
you
been
so
truly,
much.
truly enlightening. Thank you for sharing your story and for writing the book. By the way, there's going to be a book signing at Barnes & Noble on the Upper West Side tonight at 7, and then again tomorrow night at Word Book. Oh, I love Word Book in Brooklyn. So go to her Instagram to get all of the information.